Welcome back to the Road to City Hall. Our first guest tonight has been the leader of the State Assembly since 1994 and an assemblyman from Lower Manhattan since 1976. His latest task is weighing in on Governor Andrew Cuomo's budget. Sheldon Silver, welcome back to the Road to City Hall, sir.
Thank you, Josh. Pleasure to be here.
All right, let's start right with the budget and a piece of the budget, which is the minimum wage proposal that the governor has put out. You and him are not exactly on the same page when it comes to this. He wants the minimum wage to go from $7.25 to $8.75. You agree, but you want something more. Tell us what you want.
Yeah, I think it's time we took the minimum wage, the wage that basically the working poor get, out of the political arena. And what we've asked is to tie it to inflation, index the minimum wage every year, every 2 years, review it. Inflation brings it up, adjust the minimum wage to that level that inflation would bring it to. It takes it out of the political arena. It allows it to grow. We haven't had an increase in the minimum wage in this state in many, many years. It's time that we caught people up to inflation.
And in your conversations, what's his response?
He believes that this is easier to sell to Republicans and to the business community without the index, without the indexing.
Presumably, you would, well, let me ask you actually, do you have support not from the Republicans, but from their partners at the IDC, the Independent Democratic Conference?
I believe so. They have, you know, they have talked about one of their priorities is minimum wage.
So is it a cop-out on the part of the governor to blame it on the Republicans? Because
I don't know at this point. I don't think it's a cop-out. I think he put it on the table. I think it's ripe for discussion, as everything else in the budget is. He laid the issue out. You know, last year we passed a bill at $8.50 plus indexing, and it died in the Senate. This year, hopefully, with more Democrats than Republicans in the Senate, it should not die.
Let's stick with the budget and talk about the fact that the revenue in this budget is predicated on new revenues from gambling, increased revenues from gambling. You're in the process now of trying to approve a constitutional amendment that would increase the number of casinos within the state. But generally speaking, what's your thoughts about the fact that that there is going to be more gambling as a result of this? And in particular, you know, just to take one example that was in the paper today, Quick Draw, which is a very popular game, the proposal is to allow younger people to play and to allow them to play in places where booze is served.
In in prior budgets, governors have proposed that, and it's basically been rejected by the legislature. So, you know, again, the governor put out a good budget, solid budget for discussion among the legislators and the governor. We start hearings on Monday to his budget proposal. There's a 6-week process, hopefully only 6 weeks, and we will get serious about passing this budget early to mid-March.
So asking you now your thoughts on whether, let's say in particular, Quick Draw, those laws should be changed. You said that that has been rejected in the past. Would you reject it this time too?
I personally don't support gambling. I generally, traditionally, I think it's a tax on people who can least afford it. The difficulty is that it's available to people very nearby. I mean, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut. They all have casinos, they all have lotteries. Everything is available here in New York to them. The only thing, New York is not getting the revenue that comes from it. So it's New York money going elsewhere. We might as well capture some of that money. I'm not sure I'm ready to have young people so accessible to a daily you know, lottery that is Quick Draw that is, you know, can be addictive to some people.
You have been reluctant to approve a casino within the full-blown casino within the 5 boroughs, but there is emerging certain caveats to that. Today, you said that there are some examples, perhaps if they're not readily accessible on a subway line. Tell us what you mean.
Well, what I meant was take Manhattan, where it's highly concentrated number of people, central Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, the residential sections, the commercial sections of those areas. I don't think we should have somebody be able to go out on their lunch hour and lose a week or a month's pay. We shouldn't make it that accessible. I believe in casinos, it should be destination. That doesn't preclude destinations to places in New York City that are less densely populated.
Willets Point?
Willets Point, Coney Island, which has traditionally been a resort area, although it has its density and population. I just say it wouldn't preclude it, or the existing Aqueduct racetrack facility, which again is removed from the population more or less. It requires somebody to make a trip to go there. I would prefer to see it as the governor would in upstate resort areas like the Catskill region, perhaps Saratoga if the local community would accept it, the Finger Lakes, Niagara Falls, where there is a Native American casino right now. But those are the kinds of places which would attract people to New York, generally, from out of state, and New Yorkers to vacation in state, to use those destinations. It's New Yorkers. I mean, there are New Yorkers who go to Las Vegas. There are New Yorkers who go to New Jersey. And there are New Yorkers who go to Connecticut to the gambling resorts. A lot of New Yorkers do that. And if we can keep that revenue here in New York rather than send it to other states, I think we can do that. But we have to be concerned about the social ills that come with gambling. And we don't want to make it so enticing that
that you blow your paycheck very quickly.
Exactly.
Let me ask you another part of the governor's budget which has gotten some attention, which is that suspending the driver's license of delinquent taxpayers, particularly those who are behind more than $10,000. Do you have a thought on that?
Well, it's very clear that he is very clear that he would only do that after all appeals are exhausted, after all possible court actions. Again, we do that, for example, with drunk drivers. Obviously, it's related, but we give out conditional licenses for people to go back and forth to work. So I could see where something like that could probably be an encouragement to work out an arrangement with the tax department to pay back taxes.
One more question, but it's going to have to wait till after the break when it comes to the budget.
Okay.
We're going to tackle some other things.
Great.
It's time for a break. We'll continue our discussion with the Assembly Speaker in just a moment, and then look at how the city's big plans for next year's Super Bowl are making news. Later, a special panel joins us to look at the challenges affecting the Bronx and Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. Stay with us.